reasons this is so important to us, and one of the reasons we're so excited to host this, is I've spent a bunch of time personally with our Women in Engineering program, and we're very involved with a program here in the States called Girls Who Code that tries to get middle school girls really interested and excited, yes, about the STEM fields and technology in particular, and we've been so personally and company-wide invested in that program. It's just a pleasure for us to be able to expand our work with women in technology to this sort of global event. And so with that said, I just want to once again welcome you all here. We're just delighted to have you, and if there's anything else we can do to be helpful to the program, we'd love to do it. And without further ado, I'll bring up our General Counsel, Vijaya, who is going to say a few words. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Dick. I can't tell you what an honor it is to be here tonight speaking with you all. I actually first heard about the TechWomen program last year when Twitter participated. One of the mentors had actually reached out to me to set up a meeting with one of the emerging leaders, Esra Abbas. The Arab Spring and the events in Egypt are part of my personal story about how I ended up at Twitter. So it was very interesting for me to get a chance to spend time with Esra and learn about her background. We had an amazing talk about the role of Twitter and technology in the changing political landscape in Egypt and other areas of the world. We also talked about the role that women in particular played in the Egyptian revolution and their changing role in society. And I'm so grateful to the TechWomen program for making that conversation possible. And although my path to working in the technology sector is not a technical one, I wanted to take a moment to share my story about why I became a lawyer and why I work in technology, and why I'm particularly proud of the work that Twitter does. About 35 years ago, my parents and I came to America as immigrants from India. When I was a child, we lived in a small town in Texas, about 2 hours outside of Houston on the Louisiana border. It was a pretty big cultural shock for us, as many of you can imagine. While growing up in a small southern town sounds quaint, I can assure you that it really wasn't. The town's claim to fame was that it was the home of the KKK in Texas, a white supremacist group that was not particularly friendly to minorities. And being a minority in that town was not easy, and it didn't really support us in terms of opportunities for advancement. There's one story in particular that stands out to me about my father. When we first moved to Texas, he was unable to find a job in his field of chemical engineering, so he took a job with an insurance company selling insurance door to door and collecting money from the customers. Before he was able to take that job, his boss actually asked him to go meet with the head of the KKK to get his permission to walk around the town. And it's crazy to think about it today, but my father literally went to the Grand Dragon's house and had tea with him and had to get permission to walk safely in town. In her most recent book, The Lowland, Jhumpa Lahiri, one of my favorite authors and a Pulitzer Prize winner for her collection of short stories, The Interpreter of Maladies, wrote something that really connected with me. It's about a character that just left India to arrive in the United States. And here's the excerpt. The difference was so extreme that he could not accommodate two places together in his mind. In this enormous new country, there seemed to be nowhere for the old to reside. When I read this recently, it really stayed with me, and it reminded me very much of my childhood and what my father went through to support our family. It's also a reminder to find room in your life for what makes you unique and where you come from. At the same time that I was growing up as a minority in Texas, I also personally struggled with the expectations of my family and my Indian heritage. My father grew up in a small farming village in India where I would spend many summers as a child. And even as a child, it was very apparent to me that societal expectations for girls and women in India were pretty much set in stone, and many women did not have a voice to change that. Women were generally expected to be subservient to their fathers, brothers, and husbands, and were not encouraged to have their own opinions about their lives. That was obviously very different for me growing up in America, and hard to reconcile my world with that of my extended family in India. It was truly the combination of these two things, growing up as a minority in America and being a girl from a conservative culture, that drove me forward in my life and led me to being a lawyer. It's a terrible thing to feel like you don't have choices or a voice, a voice to demand equality, a voice to demand change, or a voice to defend your rights. People always ask me why I became a lawyer, and although I never consciously made that choice, I think becoming a lawyer was an opportunity for me to find a voice and defend other people's voices. After law school, I was lucky enough to work here in California with tech companies that were changing the world. Whether it's computers, the internet, mobile phones, or developments in public health, there's no doubting the impact of technology around the world and in people's daily lives. And back in 2009, I started to hear more and more about a startup called Twitter. Honestly, I didn't think much of it at the time, and you can go back and look at my first few tweets. I definitely didn't get it. Then the Arab Spring happened, and it was really a profound moment for my family. My father-in-law is actually Egyptian, and he lives in Cairo. And for most of his life, he despaired that Egypt would never reach its potential and never be free. He became an avid Twitter user, and if you talk to him, he credits Twitter with helping to topple the Mubarak regime. It was truly inspiring to see him and his friends find their voice through Twitter and to watch the events unfold in Egypt through their tweets. For me, it was a truly extraordinary moment in history and one that made me realize the impact of the Twitter platform. It also made me want to work here. Giving people a voice has had such a profound impact on the world, and as you can see from my personal story, one of the reasons I became a lawyer and why I'm excited to work here every day. So I encourage each of you to find your own voice. Find what drives you to make a difference in the world and what's unique about you. Do your best to rise above the expectations of those around you and be true to your own hopes and dreams. I applaud you all for working in technology, and I encourage you to think creatively about how technology can improve people's lives around the world. The technology industry is all about innovation and disruption, but even something as simple as Twitter can change people's lives in a dramatic fashion. There are certainly many challenges and opportunities in front of you as you continue to develop your careers and work in technology. But based on all the women I've met in the TechWomen program, there's no doubt in my mind that the creativity, talent, and determination of the people in this room will help lead us the way for the next generation of women leaders in technology. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate being here. I'd now like to introduce you to Heather Ramsey, the Senior Director for TechWomen.
Thank you, Vijaya. Thank you, Dick. And thank you to Twitter for hosting the TechWomen community event tonight. Wow, this is quite a crowd and two tough acts to follow, so stick with me. So TechWomen is about connecting people, connecting across borders, cultures, and sectors. So I'm Heather Ramsey, and I manage the TechWomen program along with a very competent team at the Institute of International Education Center for Women's Leadership Initiatives here in San Francisco. And it's our pleasure to manage this program on behalf of the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. TechWomen brought 78 women from 16 countries from Africa and the Middle East to the Bay Area. And could all of the emerging leaders in the room raise their hands so we can see where you are? Yay! It's wonderful to see so many friendly faces in the audience. So these brave and amazing women left their jobs, their families, and their communities for 5 weeks to experience the innovation of the Bay Area. They will return to their countries changed people. And in the future and now, they impact every life they touch. There are many, many people who support the emerging leaders while they're here in the US and beyond. The key supporters of the TechWomen Emerging Leaders are the 166 mentors representing 105 companies in the Bay Area. Do you all raise your hands? Mentors? Mentors? Great. Yay. So we have 2 types of mentors. Professional mentor. The professional mentor hosts the emerging leader at her workplace and works on projects with the mentee or the emerging leader and coaches her professionally. Second, there's the cultural mentor. So the cultural mentor spends time with the emerging leader outside of the workplace, does fun activities, and helps them acclimate and supports them in the Bay Area. These amazing mentors help break down stereotypes, and they build lasting connections and relationships. And we are so grateful that they support this program the way they do, and their companies support them to do it. Now, at this time, it's my pleasure to invite our panelists up to the stage. So we have 4 amazing and brave emerging leaders who will join us on stage along with their moderator. So while they're getting seated, I'll just let you know that if you want to find out more about TechWomen and getting involved in the program, you can, of course, visit our website at techwomen.org. We also have a great blog there that features lots of these women and incredible mentors writing about their experience. And, of course, follow us on Twitter at TechWomen, #TW2013. So now I'd like to introduce you to our panel and moderator, starting with our moderator, Karen Wickgray. Karen is editorial director at Twitter. She has worked as editor, author, columnist, and content strategist for more than 20 years in the field. She also worked at Google and is on the board of the International Committee for Journalists. Please welcome Karen. And we have on the end here, Angel Bisamaza from Rwanda. She's hosted by VMware. Please welcome Angel. Next to Angel, we have Hanan Youssef from Egypt, hosted by Symantec. Next to Hanan, we have Shaden Mar'i from Jordan, who is hosted right here at Twitter. And next to Shaden, we have Ngwana Matloa from South Africa, who is hosted by Disney Interactive. Okay, now I'm going to hand it over to Karen for the panel. Thank you.
So thank you. What a fantastic turnout this is tonight, and it's a great view from up here, may I say. Let me ask each of you in turn to introduce yourselves a little bit more with your professional title, mention the host company again, and briefly talk about why you were interested in the TechWomen program and why you got into it.
Thank you for coming. My name is Ngwana Matloa, and I'm from Johannesburg. Johannesburg, South Africa, and I am a co-founder of a software development company called Abbott Technology. So you can find it at Abbott Technology on Twitter. And I'm hosted at Disney Interactive. The reason why I applied for TechWomen, because the notion of them talking about mentorship resonated deeply with me. When I started my career in the IT field, I got 2 great mentors. One was Miss Miriam Zwane, who was the owner of the company that I was working for, Praxis Computing. The other one was Mrs. Khomotso Sidiane, who was my team leader. And because of those relationships and the opportunities they gave me, then were not only my professional mentor, but also became mentors outside of the workplace. And it's something that I know within Abbott Technology, I want to start and give others opportunity to rise and go further than what I have been able to do.
Shaden.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shaden Mar'i. I'm from Amman, Jordan. I'm an entrepreneur in action with 7 years of experience in the ICT sector and an entrepreneur in the making. When I first came across this program, I found it to be the right fit in my plan of starting my own company. And the more I learned about it, the more exceedingly thrilled I become to embark on this endeavor. I was so happy to be exposed to the best ecosystem for startups in the world, since I'm hoping to start my own company very soon.
That's great.
And I'm hosted at Twitter. Yeah.
And Hanan,
Hello, it's really great to be with you all today. I'm Hanan Youssef from Cairo, Egypt. I'm here hosted at Semantic, but back home I work in a technology investments company. We are basically one of the first companies that are starting to invest in digital products and mobile services and so on. And I think what really brought me here to the TechWomen program is that being fortunate enough to be part of the starting entrepreneurship ecosystem back home, I got a chance to experience how much potential we have, how we can really build something great if we invest on those entrepreneurs and find the right ecosystem and the right funding. And there's simply no place better to learn about that here in Silicon Valley as part of the TechWomen. And the second reason is that because I'm involved with a lot of organizations that work with young people in technology, including Girls in Tech and others. And I think part of what I really want to come out with in this program is basically to learn how to be a better mentor and how to work with them better. And this is also something I'm learning here.
that's great. Thank you. And Angel.
Hi, I'm Angel Bisamaza from Rwanda. I work as a marketing manager for LG Electronics in the East African region, where I represent LG brand in Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. I am hosted at VMware. Why I applied for TechWomen, I should say for me it was more of curiosity. Why? Because when I first did my computer science, I remember my cousin was doing the same thing, told me, if you work hard enough, you will be able to work at Silicon Valley. And I was like, what is Silicon Valley? And for me, Silicon Valley was more of Microsoft. That's it. So, so when I saw the program, I was like, this is amazing. Let me just try it. And especially because now I'm in the marketing field. I wasn't really sure to make the cut, but thanks to my background, I made it, so I'm here for that. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. Now, a question following up on that, actually. Start with Hanan and then Angel, maybe. What did you know about or believe about the tech sector in the U.S. or Silicon Valley, however you want to define it, before you came here that you now have learned maybe was not the case, maybe was different than what you thought?
I think the impression we have about Silicon Valley back home, basically, and about the companies that come from the Valley, is that we only know about the very famous ones, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So we have this impression that it's all about consumer internet and all about social networks. And how that impacts the startup ecosystem in Egypt is that in any event, you'll simply find 4 startups in e-commerce and 4 startups doing social networks and nothing else. So I think one thing I've definitely seen since we came here is the diversity in innovation, how you have so many companies and so many investors working in different fields, from mobile investments to enterprise products to network companies that some of us are being hosted in and are among the most innovative in the Valley. And that definitely would be something I now have learned, and I will take back there and tell them that we cannot just focus on this. So that would be one thing that that didn't turn out to be true. I'd like to add something that I had the impression of, and it actually turned out being true, which is the networking. Because even the TechWomen from the previous years when we met them, they were telling us that the most important thing in the Valley they will always be talking to you about is the network. And we saw that in the first few events and maybe didn't quite get it. I think my first impression was that people around here talk for 30 minutes and then network for an hour and a half. So I didn't quite get that. But I think as we went through the events, we started realizing that it's not just about making conversations. It was very constructive conversations. People were listening to what do you want, what are you looking for, what you are doing, and they're trying to help each other. So I think it's this kind of very, very constructive network that is very positive about the Valley and is definitely something we should be learning from and bringing back home.
Great, thank you. Angel, what about you?
For me, I will start with what I found to be true. Silicon Valley is definitely the heartbeat of technology innovation. if you want to find any company who is doing well in technology, you will find them in Silicon Valley. It's not just that they start here. Even when they start somewhere else, they need a certain level of validation in the Silicon Valley. So that's one I found out to be true. What I found out not to be true is the fact that we have this idea that you have to go to a certain type of school, you have to have done good grade to have good grades for you to make it here. But I've been blessed to meet different type of people with different background, and one of the things which described them all was the passion for technology and the need to impact people's life. And for me, I think that's one thing which I will go back and remember, that it's not just about the school and the degree. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Now one for you, Ngwana. How about a personal story of an experience you've had in TechWomen that you will remember?
Well, TechWomen so far has been an awesome opportunity, and I equate this portion of my journey as like running a marathon. And because I'm a marathon runner, those of you who know the Comrades Marathon, that takes 12 hours. It's about 56 miles. It's about endurance. It's about sometimes you need to have the right motivation, the right team with you. And coming to Silicon Valley and being with the TechWomen family is that team for me. When I came here, I was a bit lost as to where to with my journey in IT. Where do I take my company? But coming here, meeting the wonderful mentors, meeting the wonderful team, I mean, from my cultural mentor who's here, Bart Inosh, Diane, Lotta, and most of all, I've got a wonderful roommate who's now going to become my marketing agent. It's been, it's been an awesome journey, and I know it's not the end. It's just not even the halfway mark. It's just, let's say, a quarter of this journey of technology, taking my company and not only imparting the knowledge to the people I'm working with, but also back home to those women who don't know about technology, but all those who are not quite convinced that technology is their stream.
Great. Hanan, what about you? The same question, your TechWomen experience.
I think I'll mention two things. One of them is a very personal story. When I first knew about the TechWomen selection, the first thing that came into my mind is to create a list of the top 3 companies I'd like to meet people from. Basically, my dream list that was totally not approachable, and that I didn't think at the time I'll have any opportunity of meeting with anybody from them. They are all just the Ivy League VCs that have on their website, you should not contact us, you cannot come and talk about our experience. We're so busy with our companies, just don't try it. And in one of our events, I was talking with one of our mentors, of our culture mentors, and telling her that. And the lady was really nice. She was telling me that I know a distant connection over there who might be interested to talk, so I'll just try it. And I thought it was just a way of being nice. And then 2 days ago, I actually found her sending me an email and telling me that I have a meeting with one of the partners in one of these VCs. Yeah. And today, actually, we have a 40-minute talk. So thank you, Diane. That was a great personal story. And I'd actually like to add something a little bit more general, but it's also a highlight of the day for me, of the past few days. And as somebody who's very much interested in incubation and how we can carry that back home, I always thought that this was a very difficult thing to attempt, not like just starting your own company. You're trying to change the ecosystem, not just have a company. And a couple of days ago, actually, one of the ladies from last year's TechWomen group from Egypt announced that she's starting her own incubator. She has already raised funding and is starting an incubator in Egypt. And I think this is something great because if you know the context, Egypt basically has 2 incubators. One is supported by the government and one is supported by the biggest VC in the country. So for somebody who has been on this program last year to go there, raise the fund and build that on her own, I think it's a great success for TechWomen program as a whole and for all of us, and it's definitely a highlight.
That's great. Thank you. Shaden, how about a lesson that you may have learned from your mentor that has changed the way you work, your ideas about what you're pursuing?
Well, when I first came here, I had this huge startup idea. I had no idea where to start. So when I started working with my mentors, Jill and Anne, and their teams, their amazing teams, and we started refining the idea more and more each and every day. So one of the things that I learned is that I have to start small, build a very concrete base from which I can grow, and to always seek innovation and to be different. And the best way to be different is to have your own personality and passion imprinted in what you do. And actually, this is one of Twitter's core values. This is my favorite one. This is one I picked. Yeah.
Very nice. Ngwana, same question for you.
We are fortunate here to have two mentors. So like they say, two heads are better than one. So having three is dynamite. From my professional mentor, Kalika, she has shown me the importance of remaining calm even under pressure. I mean, they were going live with a product last week and things were going wrong. But if you saw her, you would think that she was on vacation. And she kept things calm, and it was nice to see how her teammates and her subordinates were reacting to her, because if the captain is calm, then they were also calm. And another lesson that she imparted was that sometimes you need to let your children trip. That's how they learn the lesson. Embrace your failure. She says great managers are like great mothers. You don't have to hold your child all the time. Let them play around and fall over. And that's part of the learning process, but just don't let them kill themselves. And then from Bart, who's my cultural mentor, she said, own the successes. I mean, when I came here, my title, and it still is, Business Development Manager. But she says, why? You own that company. You're making it. So change your title to co-founder. Take ownership and learn. And also, as women, put effort. Just because, I mean, when you're with a man, don't take excuses or want people to feel sorry for yourself. No, it's not like that. She references a lot of Sheryl Sandberg and says, if we want to be taken seriously, we need to be taken seriously. So I appreciate that part. Thank you.
Nice. Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Angel, how do you think your TechWomen experience, how will you carry it forward when the program is over?
Okay, I am a marketing person and a person very passionate about products and talking about it to customers. And given my background, it's really easier to talk to them because I do sort of understand what is happening on the back end. So one thing I take out from this professional mentorship is innovation aligns with the needs of the people around you. So it's not just about aligning the right product, but it's also the product that fits your customers, that fits your people. And that's one thing I've learned during the whole process, my mentorship time at VMware, where it's virtualization, it's those products that people are not used to, but there is this way you work to make it relevant for the customer out there. So that's one thing professionally. And personally, I would say just one sentence is, it's never too early to mentorship someone. So to give back to the community. So that's one thing I would take back home. I used to fear and not feel ready enough to tell someone what to do. But I think wherever level you get to, you're still capable of helping another person. So.
Right on. Shaden, and for you personally, professionally, what your TechWomen experience?
Yeah, well, actually, I have 3 roles back home. I'm an entrepreneur, and a technical mentor. As an entrepreneur, this experience will help me become a better employee at my company, seek new ways of innovation, be creative, and being, now that I met some of the most amazing women out there in the STEM area, who actually fought their way up to the A-list and proved that with excellence deters any attempt of discrimination whatsoever. So you have to make it hard to be missed out or left out. As an entrepreneur, this experience will help me start my own company. As you know, I come from a very small country. It's called Jordan. Jordan is not wealthy in terms of natural resources. However, it's very rich in its own talents and youth. We in Jordan believe that the best investment is in the youth. So starting my own company will be helping my country's economy. If, per se, my future company manages to export products or services of certain value, say $1 million per year, imagine having 5,000 Jordanian companies doing the same. That's a total of $5 billion of annual income being injected directly into our economy. Not only will that flourish my country, but will also pave the way for new business opportunities to arise and will be attracting new foreign investments. Last but not least, as a technical mentor, this will help me extend my experience, my TechWomen experience, to those sharing the same entrepreneurial dream. So yeah, this is a win-win in every certain case.
Thank you. We like that. We have time for a few questions. If anyone would like, there's a microphone right here in the middle. If you'd like to come up to it, then everyone can hear.
My name is Rachel Leventhal. I founded an organization called the Women's Peer-to-Peer Network, which is bringing communities of technical women around the world to connect with each other to develop technology for off-the-grid women. And it just makes me very curious how being in community with other women, how that might affect you professionally, now that you've been here together and had a chance to network with each other. Do you think you can take some of that home with you as well?
Thank you. For me personally, surrounding myself with these women whom I know, even if I tried, I would not have had that opportunity or been able to do it, helps me elevate my game better, to see that we have people younger than 30 that are nuclear scientists. We have someone who's an independent SEB consultant, someone who's a food technologist, others are in agriculture. It opened my mind to, there's more to just this technology stream that I'm focused on. And back home, there's 5 of us South Africans, Makhola, our adopted South African Sandra, Nomso, Zimkita, as well as Zibali and Chioniso. We are actually looking at starting a program called Women in Tech, almost similar to what TechWomen is having, that we can also have back home, so that we look at ways of making women aware of the STEM industries and seeing how we can improve that within, not only in the schools, but also within the corporate environment. So far we have, we have looked at, approached the incubator, the NYDA, to help us with funding. Yes.
Thank you.
Come on up.
So I would like to ask, what is a belief that you had about your life and what was possible that has disappeared through your participating in the TechWomen program?
Can I take this? Well, back home, because we're still new in the entrepreneurship world, we tend to believe that everything is really hard, everything is really impossible. You have to work very hard just to get where you want. But when I came here, it was actually very possible, but you need to put in the effort. You need to be ready just to fight. Of course, some people in Jordan or the Middle East, they know that fact, but just very few, the ones who are really, really successful over there. But being in an environment that's very supportive of new technologies, new innovation ideas, new startups, have given me much courage just to go out there and start my own company. So yeah.
I'd like to add something to that as well. I think one of the things we believe in so much back home, especially in the technology sector, is that for you to start an innovative company, you need to know where it's going. You need to know that in 5 years, I'll exit, I'll sell it to somebody, I'll do that. And you basically don't have companies investing the money unless this is really clear out. And I think something that stood out very much during our journey here in the States is how much the secret sauce of the Silicon Valley success is that kind of risk acceptance culture. So that people can fail and they will come out of the failure and try again. And I think this is definitely something that changes the equation at all. It makes people capable of going in and trying new things. So that's definitely something else.
Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? Yeah.
Hi, it's a pleasure to hear all of you talk about your stories. My name is Regina Walton, and I'm one of the co-organizers of SF Tech for Good, which is a meetup here. And I'm wondering, in the US right now, there's a big push to get more women, young girls into STEM. And I'm wondering, in your respective countries, have you seen any examples here, like, you know, Girl Develop It or Black Girls Code that inspire you to kind of take that action back home and do that? Or is it different? Are there ways that you would do it differently there?
I'm going to take that. I come especially from a country which believes in IT as the way now to catch up with development. So, and in that sense, I know when I tell people I'm from Rwanda, one thing which comes is Hotel Rwanda. So we got to a point there was a lot of women, and the government needed to empower them. And I'm one of the testimony. I got a scholarship, and I was pushed into the STEM field. So, and the government is doing that, and we have community like Girls in ICT, which was just young people were trying to put together, and especially women as well. So for my country, I would say the government is putting as much effort as possible to get the women and the whole youth to go into the STEM.
If I can add something, also in Jordan, Her Majesty Queen Rania, she has many initiatives, many programs to help young girls at school level, university level, and even in the employees, just to go out there, start coding, start building their own systems, whether they're literal or illiteral. So we have many initiatives as well in Jordan and the Middle East.
I want to add something I've seen here, actually, because I think this was part of your question. So basically, one of the experiences we had in Semantic over the past few weeks was that we got a visit from a group called Tech Bridge. We had around 20 or 30 schoolgirls from middle school come to the company, and we got to know a little bit more about what they do. So basically, they do some kind of after-school activity around sciences. They work on mechanical engineering, computer science, and so on. And I think something that all of us had going out of that meeting is that this would be something great to replicate, especially that it's focusing on lower income levels, neighborhoods. And in our countries, I think probably in some areas you wouldn't have these problems, but if you go to underdeveloped areas of the country, you would definitely need to have this kind of activity so that people can learn the options they have.
Question? Yeah.
I'll just grab it. So all of you are an inspiration to all of us, and obviously you've gone through a lot of hardships. And my question is to go back to when you were starting your career. A lot of us are in that spot right now. And think of your first job and all of the roads that you could take and all of your fears. If you could go back and talk to your own self back then at your first job, what advice would you give yourself?
I would give 3 pieces of advice to women. First of all, to negotiate well. Know how to negotiate for your own promotion, for your own raises, for your own place in the workplace. Second of all is being pro-women without being anti-men, since that itself negates the cause of women empowerment. Thank you. And the most important one is learn, learn, and learn. You cannot get enough from learning. This is the best advice, because this is makes your foot very firm in the ICT world or the business world, whatever it is.
For me personally, I would go back and tell myself to fail more. Do not be afraid of failure, and especially while you're still at a young age, there's still time to get up. I wish I had started my company when I was much younger. And also to take a chance in terms of traveling. There's a whole world out there that needs to be explored. And coming to Silicon Valley is just a small bit of what the world has to offer. Meeting the different people opens you to different areas that you didn't know about, and also even those that you knew about, it helps you think differently and to connect with different people that can connect you to other areas or help you out in your own career. And also, something that inspires me is just because you're following your career does not mean you cannot have a family. And also seeing the tech women here who've got 5 children, one left a child just a month ago, it's like, really? I was afraid just leaving home. You left your children. I mean, Zinki Tashem, she blogs, I mean, Facebook's her little cute son, and it's so heart-wrenching, but it's like, how do you do it? And I realized these women are strong. And also that it can be done, but it needs some balance. But don't put it off just because you're saying, I'm following my career.
And I can add to that is the worst I can get, now when I look back, the worst I can get is a no. So I won't be scared anymore if I had to redo the same thing.
That's great. Yeah, please.
Good evening. My name is Reshma Singh. I'm from Berkeley Lab. And I have a question which is a little bit removed from the other questions out here. So we've talked about STEM all this time, and now a new emerging catchphrase in the US is STEAM, not STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So my question to you is that given the fact that traditionally women have been so involved in crafts, arts, and now it's digital media and explorations of art through technology, do you feel that in your own countries, you actually can see art becoming a part of this larger movement of STEM?
I think it can because most of our teenagers are now already on the digital media. And it's funny that you should ask this question. Speaking to my professional mentor's son today, Mahir, he likes art, but he says he cannot be a traditional artist in terms of drawing. He prefers to draw online. And because it's easier to correct things and to be more creative online, he did not see the link between traditional art. So I think the fact that we're already moving on a digital platform, it's not going to be difficult to encompass all those that are interested in the art field and say, try different forms. I mean, with applications such as AutoCAD and Bryce and many other software that Photoshop, Illustrator, they make it easy for you to create what you want. Even a beginner can do wonderful things.
I think it might be interesting for you all to know that the country that consumes the most videos online and on mobile is one of the countries in the Middle East. So our region is actually very big on consuming this kinds of media and consuming videos and audios and music. And you have a lot of audience, you have a lot of young people. And I think this makes it specifically interesting for content creators of any kind, who in this case would be a combination of digital and artists who are trying to have their voice out through art and through this digital media. And like we were talking about Twitter and the revolution in Egypt, I think all these platforms are getting a lot of people to contribute their own arts online and get known through that. So I think it's making it even easier and more accessible for a lot of people.
I have to interject to say I've worked in technology for 30 years, and I am a liberal arts major. I studied only the soft arts. So I think, as the old saying goes, art isn't food, but it can feed you.
This is a slightly less optimistic question, but being someone who's really interested in international issues all over the place, I've sort of curious to know what your take on the technology gap is in your respective countries and what you think can be done in that realm, considering that you work in technology yourself and that you'll be returning to those areas. Not necessarily what you've learned here that can be implemented there, but just like how you perceive the technology gap in your countries, and given that you've clearly traversed it and very well.
I think one very important thing that we've observed over the past few years is that technology is not going in a linear path to our countries anymore. So, for example, things such as mobile services, having access to basic services through mobile is probably much more advanced in the Middle East and Africa than it is in the West. Things like mobile money in Kenya and other such initiatives. So I think what's really important to observe here is that the gap would get much smaller and is getting much smaller if it is being invested in the right way. If instead of just trying to have another traditional, maybe American solution go to the Middle East, you'll have something which is more relevant to the environment, more focused on the local problems, and I think that can make us close it much quicker and much faster.
Yeah, I would just align with her, saying it's not about, I wouldn't call it a gap, but it's more of a difference of culture and living. We are in different continents with different sort of issues, and the only thing I would say that this program gives us is to think more in terms of our own people. As I said, I love product, and it's always good when you find products which really respond to the need. With the product that she mentioned, M-Pesa, I can be in a village and be able to send someone money. In agriculture can be able to get the money that is sold with through his mobile, and that's a featured phone. So all I can say, it's not a gap, but it's just a difference of culture, and the gap, that difference of culture, we can overcome it by thinking more in terms of our people and our environment.
And for me in South Africa, one thing that the group of ladies we've identified, it's in the education. How do we change the way sciences or STEM subjects are taught? Let us let go of the traditional way and make it more fun, make it more interactive. Let us show the girls, the boys, that make science or technology or engineering or maths your own. Don't think of it something that's so far-fetched that only engineering is about building. What about something in the house? How about fixing maybe lipstick that highlights when it's raining, or if you're sick, it tells you there's something wrong, you know? So bring it home, and if we change it and make it more interactive, there's not only the syllabus, but also the teachers need to also get in touch with technology. As the children are moving forward, the teachers are getting left behind, and that's where the gap is. So if I'm on Facebook and on Twitter and on everything else, and my teacher still wants a book and me to use a typewriter, how are we going to communicate? That's where we also need to start tackling things.
I also would like to add something that in terms of technology, innovation ideas and technology, we do have those smart people who actually come up with amazing ideas that they come here to the Silicon Valley and they pitch for it. But we lack opportunities in the Middle East. For example, I've been a judge in a number of contests for universities, and the ideas that come up are amazing. They are very young entrepreneurs, but they're left behind. We don't have much support for them to just push them forward and to give them the right training for them to become actual entrepreneurs. So this is where we fall behind. We don't have the right opportunities nor the training just to push them forward.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
the panel. Thank you all for being on.